right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you for watching, for listening. However, you are consuming this podcast, continues to grow, and I do appreciate you guys very much. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Sunny Reds, Imperial Pizza, and Cheektowaga. I forgot about them. Shout out Cheektowaga Country Club, 4917 Genesee Street. Did a show there with Perino a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to going back there again. All right, folks, this is our midweek episode. As always, for these, I am joined by my good buddy over at SB Nation, Matt Warren. What's up, man? How you doing? The Bills' victory, first time in a few weeks we've had a chance to kind of go through and analyze one of those. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. It's spooky season. Halloween's this this Friday. So I got my 26 shirts, scary little buffalo guy here. I like it a lot. I like to wear it in place of costumes. When folks ask me to go places. Oh yeah, here we'll put
go ahead.
Screen. There we go, full screen, 26 shirts. But I like when we go to places where it's kids costumes, but I know adults aren't going to be wearing costumes. Yeah. I tend to wear this. I don't get me wrong. My wife and I love doing couples costumes, and we do that on Halloween. And when we know there's going to be other adults dressed up, but I don't like being the only one at the party, only adult at the party in a costume. So
I have not dressed up for a Halloween party in a long time. It's not, I'm not hating on Halloween. I got no issues with Halloween whatsoever. I don't know, for whatever reason, whether it's work or I don't know, dude. I think I started to get seasonal depression by the end of October. I know for most people that's January, February. Soon as it starts to get cold, I start to hate it and kind of go into a shell. It is this week. It has been, well, I guess it's not been too bad. I don't want to be too soft, but
it got into the 20s for the first time though. It got cold enough where I had to scrape my car the last 2 days, go to school. So
I hate it. I do love that the Bills got off the snide, a 2-game losing streak broken. As usual, Matt and I are going to go through this team positionally, talk about the game. Ultimately, Matt will assign a grade. And I want to make sure that we put aside some time today to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, because I just think this is going to be a very meaningful and telling game, not just for the Bills. I feel like for both teams, a lot at stake, man. The winner kind of rights the ship a little bit. The loser is going to have, I would say, almost an uphill battle just to be able to have a home game in the playoffs this year. So plenty at stake, even though it's just a regular season matchup. So we'll certainly get to that. I do want to preface this by saying, and only because I got a funny feeling, Matt, we're recording this Tuesday morning. Most people are going to listen to this Wednesday morning or afternoon. So if anything happens, we're not covering it. I say that because I just got a funny feeling in my bones that there might be a trade coming down the chute. Whether it's the Bills or something worth talking about, I just need to point that out there. This would be a good day for trades around the league, or for the Buffalo Bills specifically, before teams get into practice on Wednesday to get ready for their upcoming games. So you get that sense?
You're not wrong. A hunch? Yeah, it's the Tuesday before the trade deadline. The trade deadline, they moved it back a few years ago, and so we've started to see trades start to happen earlier, and we've seen them already this week. I think the Titans sent a cornerback to the Rams.
McCreary,
we started to see some of that movement already, and so it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the Bills make a move this week. That doesn't mean it would be a move specifically for the Chiefs game. Obviously that player would probably need some ramp up time, but yeah, certainly a move could happen as early as today.
We'll see.
Tuesday being Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll see how things play out. Anyway, let's get into our weekly exercise. Let's start at quarterback. And I'll tell you what, I don't want to try to lead you or steer you into anything. So I'm just going to say what his final numbers for the day were, and you can, approach it any way that you deem fit. But Josh Allen, 12 of 19 for a $163, 1 touchdown. He only ran for 7 yards, but he did have 2 tushy-pushy touchdowns, which I am a big fan of that coming back. Maybe we'll talk about that when he gets to coaching in a few Mitch Trubisky, cup of coffee, 2 for 4 for 22 yards. At least got to throw him in there because he did have some stats. But anyway, him aside, we're talking about Josh, of course. Your analysis and ultimately your grade with quarterback this past week.
Sure. Yeah, I was surprised they let Mitchy Bits air it out a little bit, so that was pretty neat. I ended up giving Josh Allen a B in this game, and I know if you look at the stats, or I don't know, even how he talked after the game, you might not think that he played that well. But I think there's probably only 2 throws he wants back in that whole game, and we'll get to the sacks with a different positional group. But so I'm not putting either of those on him right now. And like, because I think he only had 2 bad plays in the game. Like, it's hard for me to not give him a B. He still finished with a 108 passer rating. But 71% of his yards were after the catch, which again, I think is not a symptom of Josh Allen. I think it's a symptom of something else, which we'll talk about as we get going forward here. So B for Josh Allen in the quarterback position, and we'll talk some more later.
I know I've asked you this before, so this is not the first time I've asked you this, but maybe people didn't catch it the first time. You being you were an educator for quite a while, and it goes to me on how you grade students. Do you grade them all the same? If 30 people hand in a paper, an essay, and you're graded it, do you grade them all on the same curve, or do you have certain expectations for your brighter students that maybe, by general standards, it was up to snuff, but by that specific gifted special student, that work wasn't quite up to snuff, so maybe they get a lower grade than someone else, where if the other person handed it in, which is kind of middle of the pack, you probably would think more of that body of work, if that makes sense to you. I'm basically telling you that I grade Josh Allen differently than I would grade, someone else putting up these numbers. So for that reason, I would grade him lower. I thought, in my opinion, and you could come back at me too, I thought he was relatively lousy in the first half of this game. Mm-hmm. Statistically, the game ended up fine. Plus, look, he didn't play in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, that needs to be said as well. So when you say on $163 and a touchdown in a more competitive game, maybe he finishes with 230 yards and 2 touchdowns or something like that. And maybe we're singing a different tune overall statistically. But that first half, 6 of 13 for 66 yards. And going back and watching some of the plays, and it's not, look, I think there's a trust/confidence issue with Josh, with some of these receivers. And I think that's starting to become somewhat apparent. But you said 2 throws that he would like to have back. I would say there was more than 2. Well, maybe only 2 throws, but there were certainly a couple plays where I think he made the wrong decision. The throw to Elijah Moore, if you follow me on Twitter, I've been putting up, like on Mondays or Tuesdays, some clips. And one of the ones I put up was Elijah Moore was just wide open and Josh just missed him. I mean, it was a lousy throw, and that's what it was. There were a couple others where people would push back, and fairness, like I put up one clip, I criticized him for going to Jackson Oz on a dump off when Keon Coleman was breaking open at the second level. However, I think that was a play call designed to Jackson Oz, and he was already rolling out, so I could see the point in that. Then there's another one where he throws a lousy pass to Ray Davis, and there was not a lot of pressure. And it could have, when you look at the tape, Elijah Moore had a step on the guy, and maybe just didn't have the confidence to throw it, but it felt like it could have been a touchdown pass if he goes to the end zone, but he doesn't, and that's okay, and he goes to Ray Davis. But it was a lousy throw out in the flat to Ray Davis. Some pressure, but enough that he had enough opportunity to get more on the throw. And Ray Davis had to fall down to catch the ball. Actually, I think he ended up dropping it. It wasn't a completion. Point is, if he hits him, Ray Davis has one guy to beat, and if he does, it's a touchdown. I'm not saying he's going to. I just thought there were a handful of plays where he just didn't look right. Now, I know the sack, like you said, it's another positional group. I agree with you. Ain't nobody open, and I'm sure you're going to say that, but throw the ball away at some point, launch it into the fifth row.
That was a mistake, yes. No, he took that sack when he should have thrown it away and kept the 16 yards or whatever it was.
Yeah, so honestly, man, I want to. I'm going to go with C, and I feel like I could almost talk myself into going to a C minus when we're talking about the quarterback that we're talking about here, and Josh Allen. I just thought it was a pretty lousy game. Now, again, I don't think they didn't need to throw the ball much, and these receivers are just not helping him, other than Khalil Shakir. But like the air yards, and this maybe is more of a Joe Brady thing. It's not like Josh Allen's not capable of airing the ball out, but I think he had one completion to a receiver that was for more than 8 yards this entire football game. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm getting into the wrong position with these analysis, but from what I saw from Josh, I thought it was a very average game from him. Left a lot of meat on the bone from what I saw in the first half anyway.
Right. Definitely. I was just going to say the first half for sure was it was bad. It was a bad first half from Josh Allen. I thought he was much better in the third quarter. Like I said, like he did hold on to the ball a little too long on that one play. He should have thrown it away. But I think on the whole, we tend to give him a lot of crap when he forces stuff. And I don't think he was forcing stuff in this game. And so like, especially like, what was it against the Falcons? We really complained that he was forcing stuff and he didn't do it here. So it's at least like, you have to at least balance those two things in your criticisms of him. And so like, I understand certainly what you're saying with the C or the C minus. I felt like this is a game that he could have been really frustrated at some point in the first half, but he never let YOLO Josh take over and like the demon on his like, left shoulder or whatever. It's like, he never let that happen.
That's very fair. And listen, too, the last thing I'll say about quarterback is Joe Brady spoke on Monday after McDermott does like he does every Monday, almost dismissive about any Bills passing game woes. And at first I was annoyed by it. Then I'm like, you know what? He's not wrong. Who cares? They didn't need the passing game to be all that effective, which, by the way, it did strike for a touchdown on a play. But the running game was just so unbelievably good that it's like, well, they didn't really need. He claims that they had a lot of things planned or to call that he never got a chance to go to because the running game was going so well. But I also think Joe Brady tends to be full of shit when it comes to just some of that stuff too as well. I don't know. All right, so we're sort of on a different page when it comes to Josh Allen, and that's okay. I think something that we're going to be unified here with is running back. James Cook, 19 carries, 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, third most yards per carry. I saw this morning. It was the third most yards per carry, 11.4 yards per carry on a running back who had at least 19 carries in NFL history. In the history of the NFL, if you've had 19 or more carries only 2 times, Jim Brown was one of them. I can't remember the other one. Oh, Corey Dillon with the Bengals. Anyway, those are the only 2 times in NFL history somebody has averaged more yards per carry on at least 19 carries. It was just special. Lots of holes. I mean, there were lots of lanes, but some of the cutbacks, the vision he has, the speed. Boy, oh boy, man. God, if you go back to the spring and just the levels to him compared to his peers on his football team at the position are just night and day with respect to them. But anyway, James Cook, man, he just put a show on. What do you got?
Yeah, I was in the camp that they shouldn't pay him too much money. I think they paid him more money than I would have. And I'm wrong. That's fine. Like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
The running backs get an A+. Even Ray Davis and Ty Johnson can't bring this one down like this week. It's hard. Like, I'm looking up at halftime what the franchise record is for rushing yards in a game. I didn't think he was going to get to 270 based on the score. Well, it's 273 based on the score and the game flow and all that stuff. But I knew he could get up there. And when he was close to that Thurman one, and I had the skeet all lined up, like, the most rushing yards by a Bills player since the 1970s. That was a fun one to do, passing a Hall of Famer. But yeah, when you're looking up stats like that at halftime of a game, it's probably a good game for that player.
Well, yeah, I could be wrong. I think, and I'm with you, it's an A+. It's an A+. I mean, you don't perform better than this at this position. You just don't. It was a historically good game. This could be the first A+ we've given away this season. I think we've given away a lot of A's, but I don't think we've had an A+ game this entire season from a position. So, And I'm with you. I absolutely think it's an A-plus game. It's just fun to watch him. It is so much fun to watch him run the football right now. Not just off tackle, too. They were doing old school like college, just pitch the ball to left, toss. I was like, hey, shit's working, man.
Yeah, he had 12-yard runs on like the first two toss lefts to right up
Yeah.
Deion Dawkins' backside. Like,
I
I mean,
loved it.
that's what they were doing right off the bat to get like 12 yards a carry.
I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it. And the last thing I'll say is the vision. There's just I talked about this yesterday on the show. I had Chris Trapasso on. By the way, if you guys didn't listen to that, go back and listen. Chris had a lot of really good insight on the Bills. But anyway, the vision of James Cook, like he caught that linebacker number 53 kind of drifting outside and cut it back in, and he started cutting back in before he had the vision before he even got to the line of scrimmage. Made him look foolish. Carolina also got caught in the wrong defense. The linebacker went out to cover Elijah Moore on the snap in the flat. That was a big ass mistake. But anyway, yeah, he's great, man. He's second in the NFL right now in rushing. In third place, he's second by 119 yards over J.K. Dobbins. And the Bills have had their bye, too. So, I mean, he is just crushing it. He's on pace for over 1,800 yards right now. I did a little fun exercise for myself this morning. Maybe not fun for anybody else, and I was trying to be objective. I think I was. And I made a list, like, after 8 weeks, my top 10, and like, if I had an MVP ballot through 8 weeks right now, if I would have told you this in week 1, you'd say, well, Josh Allen's going to be in your top 10. Well, he's not. He's not in my top 10. However, I'll run it off to you. Right now, if the MVP got awarded today and I got to pick it, my top 10, I got Daniel Jones, Drake May, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Jonathan Taylor, Jordan Love, Jamar Chase, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and I got James Cook 10th right now, man. James Cook is like in my top 10 right now for NFL MVP. That's how good he's been. It's just, God, it's so much fun. And last thing I'll say, I'm rambling. Give me I know a lot of Joe from Queens is going to hate this with a passion. I'd rather have a good running game than a good passing game. I want both, but give me a good running game. Do you agree with that?
No.
I knew you weren't.
The passing game is more effective at picking up yards and picking up points expected over rushes. And so,
fair.
I mean, it's much more efficient unless you're ripping off 12-yard runs every play, which the Bills did in this game. So, like, I'll say that with that caveat. Like, if you could keep averaging 11 yards per rush, yes, the running game is better.
Very fair. Let's get to the wide receivers now. I'm interested in seeing what you say here. I'll just run off numbers. Khalil Shakir, 6 catches, 88 yards, including a 54-yard catch and run for a touchdown. Keon Coleman, 3 catches for 30 yards. Elijah Moore, 1 for 14. Curtis Samuel and Tyrell Shavers had the same amount of targets that we did in this game, which is 0. So wide receiver.
I had written F, but then Khalil Shakir's yak just knocked it up to a D because like I can't not reward that guy for what he did on that play. So Khalil Shakir keeps them out of the F club this week. I'm putting the sacks here. Whatever it was, the that long sack that lost 16 yards in Panthers territory didn't kill them, thankfully, because Matt Prater made the field goal still. But like the wide receivers were not open. Like Josh Allen held the ball for 10 seconds on that play. Like it wasn't because like even the scramble to the right, which is supposed to help the receivers gain separation, they couldn't gain separation. So, I mean, we hear it all the time on broadcast that like, cornerbacks can't cover wide receivers for that long in the scramble drill. Well, these wide receivers you can apparently, because that's what happened. So, I mean, Joe Biscaglia had a bunch of great stats that he threw out. They only gained 6 yards from his arm to receivers through the air. So everything else was a yak.
Yeah.
So like 6 air yards is like, I mean, mind boggling. His average depth of target was 4.75 yards to receivers. And on the completions, the average depth of target was 0.75 yards. So not even like, I mean, screens, short game stuff, like just nothing that would put pressure on a defense. Now, obviously they didn't have to, but I mean, we're not talking about this in terms of necessarily like the Panthers game. This is more of a this is a bigger issue for the rest of this season and the playoffs than it was against the Panthers.
I could agree more. You said D. I'm
D.
going to say D too. I think that's the perfect grade. Khalil Shakir, like you said, he's the only thing that bumps that up from being an F. I'll say this, one good thing, two bad things. The good things, Khalil Shakir, I like the way this is how you use him. Giving him an opportunity to catch the ball, make somebody miss, and get yak. Now, he's not going to bring one to the house every week. That's not going to happen. But, getting him out in space and getting him the ball quick, that works. That's where he's effective. Okay. So I like the usage of Khalil Shakir. Sign me up for 6 catches. Forget the touchdown. Sign me up for 6 catches for 88 yards every week. I'll take that 10 times out of 10. That's the good. The two bad, number one was Curtis Samuel. Now, I've defended this group positionally, and Josh Palmer's hurt, and that does matter. However, I have been staunch in saying, well, Curtis Samuel, from what I've seen on film the last couple games that he did play, looked like there were a lot of plays out there waiting to happen for him, and he's going to get back, and it's going to open things up. He's a good separator. He can run. He gets all 3 levels, yada, 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 yada. Well, he doesn't get a target in a game. He's just another guy. He's out there. How do you have a guy making $8-9 million a year who can't even get a target? I don't care how many yards James Cook ran for. The Bills threw the ball 19 times. You're not getting Curtis Samuel involved in the game whatsoever. You can't trust it. You can't trust it. So that's very, for people like me who are in the camp of Curtis Samuel is going to give this offense a boost, it's demoralizing to see that. And then the other thing, and this is a question for you, with Keon Coleman, 3 catches, 30 yards. I noticed, and I usually don't make a big deal out of this. A lot of people notice. I'm like, well, whatever usually. But in this case, I just felt like there was a lack of energy, a lack of enthusiasm from him. I mean, he didn't not that he needs to celebrate every time he makes a catch. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like he had a lot of, his body language didn't suggest that he was, I'm not going to say he wasn't into the game, that he wasn't excited. He also got popped on that punt return too. Maybe he was pissed off that he went back there and fielded that punt and got popped. But
well, let's talk about that too. Like the fact that he was even back there fielding the punt. And I know that Brandon Codrington was out for the game, was inactive for the game, but it really shows the pecking order of your team.
Yeah.
Khalil Shakir's got great hands. He was back there. It scares me when he's back there. Keon Coleman fielding punts for this team is not a good sign for his offensive necessity.
I agree 100%. And I'd rather have him back there than Khalil Shakir. I've been very vocal about this. I do not like Khalil Shakir back there. Man, you want to talk about, if you think the Bills have trouble separating now, can you imagine this group without Khalil Shakir out there? It would be ugly. So you do not risk him to be a punt catcher. So I hate that. So I'm actually glad. Now, later in the game, Shakir was back there to field the punt. Coleman did it once. Maybe because Keon said, yo, piss on that. I'm not going back. You ain't doing that shit to me again. I don't know. But anyway, let's do this. Take a quick break, come back, and we'll get through some more of these, and then we'll turn our attention to the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, Matt Warren, SB Nation, tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, 1 catch, 23 yards. Jackson Hawes, 2 for 15. Dawson Knox, 1 for 15. So collectively, 7 targets, 4 catches, 53 yards. Do you want to count Reggie Gilliam as a tight end? I don't know, because we could go back to running back, because I should have at least, he deserved mention. He had a couple incredible blocks for James Cook. We'll throw him in the running back, because he had an A+. He's not a tight end. Anyway, Kincaid, Hawes, Knox, tight ends. What do you got?
Yeah, it was fun to hear Greg Olson talk about it, because obviously he's like really good at that position and knows what he's talking about. So seeing him literally salivating over Jackson Hawes was really fun. Each of them caught a pass. I gave him an A. They obviously contributed to the run game. They're the most consistent part of the passing game, I think. Would I like to see more numbers than that? Yeah. But at the same time, like we keep talking about, they didn't need a ton of passing down the stretch of this game, or else I think they would have been more involved. So I went A.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Maybe an A-. I'm being be a little bit stingier. Offensive line. All right. So the Bills ran for 245 yards. Josh Allen was sacked twice. However, we've discussed one of them. It was 10.9 seconds, by the way, from snap to sack on that play. So it was actually almost 11 seconds. That's a Josh and a receiver thing, whatever way you want to slice that pie. It ain't the offensive line. You can't expect them to block for 11 seconds. Now, there was one. The other one was a mistake by Deion Dawkins, who did not account for, an unrushed or an unblocked blitzer. So there's that. Holes all over. I don't know. What do you got for the offensive line?
Yeah, I gave them an A based on that one sack, knocking him down from the A+. I'm not sure if it was a shift problem, like Connor McGovern calling a offensive line thing, or if it was Josh Allen telling them to shift to the right and Dawkins didn't hear. Like, I really don't know where the miscommunication was or the mistake, but it's probably an offensive line mistake, to your point. I think he was like, even on that, like you said, almost 11 seconds for that pass. I think he was in the pocket for like 6, like, I mean, or at least 5. Like, I mean, so it's like he was still untouched for a long time there. And Allen escaped the pocket to get better angles, not really because he was like in dire need of it. So they opened plenty of holes. I really liked what the offensive line did. So I gave them an A.
Okay. I'm with you with an A. I could have been talked into an A+. Probably, even despite the one play, I think I could have been talked into an A+. I don't know how much better an offensive line can perform when you look at the holes that James Cook had. Now, listen, James Cook was running through people in the vision and all that in the cutbacks, but he also was running 4, 5, 6 yards quite often without being touched. So the offensive line that's about as good as I think realistically you could ever hope for a unit to play. All right, defensive tackle. Oh, boy, this is tough. So, Ed Oliver. Man, let's have a moment of silence for Ed. I'm so sad.
That was hard.
I'm so sad. Oh, God. All right, so anyway, he had a sack and 2 tackles for a loss in the first half. I'm going to add, I think he's been playing the best football of his career this season. In 3 games, he's just been on a different level than he's ever been, I feel like. So, again, a sack, 2 tackles for a loss, Deion Walker, a half a sack, a fumble recovery. Here's a fun stat, too, I saw. He's got the 4th best run stop percentage of any defensive tackle in the NFL right now. That is wild to me. Jordan Phillips, they had 3 defensive tackles for this game, or 4, I'm sorry. He had a sack. Larry Ogunjobi made his debut. Didn't really do anything on the stat sheet, but I thought he was fine. Anyway, we'll talk about Ed specifically in a second long term, but defensive tackle for this game.
Yeah, I think your grade does depend on whether you put Michael Hoyt at defensive tackle or defensive end too, because he took snaps at both positions. I still gave the defensive tackles an A. I thought Ed Oliver played really, really well. It's funny. My parlay bet included rushing yard totals for both Panther running backs, and I was sweating it at the end there. It took them all the way to the 4th quarter to get Chuba Hubbard over 25 yards for my parlay, but it hit. So that was good. I was just expecting more from the Panthers rushing attack, especially with Andy Dalton, a sitting duck back there. And so I thought the defensive tackles played pretty well. I gave them an A.
Okay, I'm with you. The only thing I want to say about Ed is this. If we would have done a preview show before the game, and I would have said, Matt, give me your top 5 Buffalo Bills that you cannot afford to lose to injury for the season in this game. Long-term injury, we'll say, because Ed thinks he could get back if the Bills make it to the Super Bowl. All right. But I would say this. It would be Josh. Then it would be James Cook right now, which is surprising. We would not have said that in July. I guarantee you that. But James Cook right now, because I just think he's that irreplaceable and the drop-off is that significant without him. I would still say, even though he hasn't played that great, we'll talk about him in a second, but Benford, just because he's your top corner. And then I would say Ed Oliver. I think Ed was one of the 4 guys on this team that you could least afford to lose long-term. Unfortunately, this has happened to the Bills now. This was a position that during training camp, I'm wondering if Dwayne Carter makes the team because are they going to keep 5 defensive tackles? It's Ed, it's DeQuan, it's TJ Sanders, it's Deion Walker. You got Ogunjobi suspended, and then you got Dwayne Carter as the 5th. He would be the 6th when Ogunjobi came back if everybody stayed healthy. Would they keep Dwayne Carter? How would that play out? Well, here we are. We're only going into the Bills' 8th game coming up this week against Kansas City, and they're already down when it comes to health. to also Larry Ogunjobi and Deion Walker. And that's it. Now you got Jordan Phillips up, who I'm sure is going to get signed.
Yep.
DeQuan Jones hopefully can get back in a few weeks. TJ Sanders is on IR. Who knows when and if he's going to be back. We just talked about Ed. If you're the Bills right now, we've been talking receivers and corners and safeties. Suddenly, do you feel like defensive tackle becomes something that you could need to go out and do you address it? Or do you kind of, you stay the course and say, all right, well, you can elevate Zion or whatever, and DeQuan will get back and maybe Sanders or something. How do you handle this position right now if you're the Bills?
Right. We talked about like Larry Ogunjobi maybe getting cut before he played for the Bills because they had so much defensive tackle depth.
Yes.
And now he's going to be starting this week probably. So, it's crazy, the defensive tackle stuff. Yeah, I do think they're going to be in the market for a defensive tackle trade. I know a lot of people are looking at Harrison Phillips over on the Jets and the Jets being sellers and all that other stuff. I mean, I think that's probably dreaming, but whatever, like that'd be cool if he came back. They're out of, I think they're out of practice squad elevations for Zion Logue too. So like if they
are,
so they would have to sign him to the active roster if they wanted to use him. It's a mess at the defensive tackle position. And obviously without knowing the TJ Sanders and DeQuan Jones, like return timelines, it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle that defensive tackle rotation over the next, say 10 days. Well, let's just say 7 between now and the trade deadline. So, they have options, but none of them are really good options. And so that's where the problem is. They played well in this game. Don't know if they'll be able to say that, like, when we play the Ravens again in the playoffs or whatever, like just as like an example, or the Colts, like with Jonathan Taylor or something like that. They're going to need defensive tackles to step up here going over the rest of the season and hopefully get those guys back healthy.
The last 2 games the Bills have played, they've rolled with 3 defensive tackles in each game. I don't think they could do that without Ed Oliver, because Ed Oliver, is just that good and takes up those snaps.
And I forgot to mention Michael Hoyt. Okay. Michael Hoyt took a bunch of pass rush reps at defensive tackle, played really, really well when he kicked inside. So like whether you want to put him at DE or defensive tackle, we just need to at least mention him.
Sure. And I want to mention another name. And listen, there's a reason. I'm going to throw it out there. Christian Wilkins. Okay. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, Matt, do you know anything about what's going on with him? No. Do I? No.
I don't.
It's weird. I mean, the talent of this guy, the physical gifts that he's played with throughout his career, we're going into the 9th week of the season. There's been other teams that have had injuries to him, sure, at defensive tackle.
Yep.
Nobody's called him that we know of. He certainly hasn't signed anywhere. We haven't seen him linked to anybody. I don't know what's going on with him, but if he's right whatsoever, this kind of feels like a time to maybe make a call. Now, again, who the hell knows? We still don't even know all the details on why he got released from the Raiders. It's really weird. I mean, we'll agree on that, but I don't know. It's a name that kind of I hear brought up all the time, but now I'm thinking like, I wonder what's going on with him, because God,
it's a good point that you made. There's got to be a reason that he's not signed right now, whether it's a him reason or whether it's teams being afraid of him reason. And so I wouldn't expect it to happen for the Bills, but I mean, because the Cowboys, who I would maybe expect it from, they've needed defensive tackle help too, and he's not on their roster either.
That's what I'm saying. So that's where it's weird. And a lot of times you hear names like I hear Justin Simmons. There's not a week that goes by where like, well, sign Justin Simmons. Well, there's 31 other teams that could have signed Justin Simmons. And again, we're here going into November by the time you and I get together next week, and Justin Simmons is he's a street free agent right now. So there's got to be something to it more that obviously that people like us and fans are not privy to. All right, Edge. Greg Rizzo, he had a sack near the end of the first half, which kind of realistically, because I think they got the kickoff right before there, but they didn't have time to set up or anything. So he kind of saved 3 points. He also had a forced fumble, which was big. I think he's played well the last 3 games. AJ Manessa, an interception, a half a yard away from having a pick 6. Fun little side note: my son's girlfriend, we watched the game together. I swear to you, less than 10 minutes before that play happened, she went on her little FanDuel account and put a bet on for the Bills to score a defensive touchdown. She lost. She literally lost by a half yard, and it was literally 5 to 10 minutes before that play happened. It was crazy, like their reactions, because they couldn't believe he didn't score. But anyway, so that's AJ Epinesa. Joey Bosa had a sack. Also had a classic tripping penalty. What a terrible trip that was. I mean, he was looking at him when he tripped. It was kind of funny. But anyway, whatever. He also had a sack in this game. You talked about Michael Hoyt. I have him at edge, but you are right. He did take plenty of reps inside too. But what a terror. What a debut, man. 1.5 sacks, a forced fumble, 3 quick pressures too. Like quick pressures defined by like 2.5 or 3.5 seconds or 2.5 seconds, something like that. Anyway, a really stout game for him. So edge, what do you got?
Yeah, you said we haven't been giving out a lot of A+. I gave an A+ to them for this game.
Okay.
They were outstanding. The turnovers. I mean, I know it's Andy Dalton. I get it, but like I was worried when Andy Dalton was coming in because like it feels like he's going to get the ball out quick, like he's going to like run the offense, like not take chances and stuff like that. But the Bills still forced plenty of turnovers. Even on that drive, like they were in Buffalo Bills territory. They were like knocking on the door of the red zone when they got that first forced fumble from Andy Dalton, who was scrambling for a couple of yards, I guess. I mean, that was a fun little note, but like, they made game defining play after game defining play. And it looks like a completely different rotation with Hoyt in there. I'm really excited for what those edges can do. Of course, we do need to say that this team is kind of built to play with the lead. I think we've all said that before. And so like them being able to pin their ears back and really go after Andy Dalton made them look really, really good in this defense. It's kind of how the defense is designed to play. And so just kind of all came together in a really, really nice way in this game.
2 things. I have not said this, and you're right. They deserve an A+ as well. I just don't know how Uni could play much better than they did. I haven't said on the podcast much, my favorite term, but I got to bring it out here. I got to bust it out for Andy Dalton. He was booty cheeks. I mean, he is terrible, dude. He is really. The Bills made his life hell, but even when they didn't, man, there were some throws out there to make that he just couldn't make some decisions that he just did not make. Where the Bills in
Panthers last year. Like, I mean, he wasn't booty cheeks last year, but
no,
like,
I know. I agree. Now, listen, the Bills weren't losing this game regardless, but it could have been more competitive if Dalton would have played better. I'll just say that. And then the other thing before we move on, you're talking about how excited you are. I am too, but I just, in life when you get dealt a hard blow, you lose a loved one, or you break up with your, when you're in a relationship, you break up, and it's, you got to move forward, but it's hard. That's how I feel right now. I keep going back to the Ed Oliver thing because, man, I imagine this team right now with Hoyt and Groot stepping up. Bosa's still playing well. Hoyt is a big addition. Deion Walker keeps getting better and better every week. And then I think about Ed Oliver, who, in my opinion, is the best of all that group, most consistently good, and what it could have been. You know what I mean? And it's like, God, you got to move forward. You can still get through. You could come out on the other side better, but you can't help thinking about what could have been. And God, it hurts. It hurts to see Ed hurt just because of that unit. But anyway, let's move forward here. As I just said, linebacker. No Terrell Bernard. He was an break glass in case of emergency player in this game. Matt Milano was inactive. And Dreesen played a little bit. And then it was mainly Shaq and Dorian Williams. What do you think?
Yeah, it was early on. Like, I think Andreessen may have gotten the start at linebacker too.
He did. They started with 3 linebackers. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it was the rotation was very interesting to me based on the fact that we knew that the Panthers were going to be running. I saw some nice downhill coverages from Dorian Williams. But I didn't like, I don't know, the way that the defensive line played. I thought that there wasn't a lot for the linebackers to do. As far as like the big splash plays. And so I didn't have a ton really to mention. So I give the linebackers a B just because I don't know. I didn't see them do anything great. I didn't see them do anything bad. Like they were fine.
They're fine. I thought Dorian Williams played pretty well. I think Shaq Thompson has continued to be, in my opinion, the best performing linebacker on the team this season.
Yeah, still the biggest surprise of the year too.
Let me give you a take here. Now, I want to be careful when I say this. This game, this opponent who run the football, even if they were healthy, if Milano and Bernard were 100% healthy, I would have rather played Shaq Thompson and Dorian Williams for this game because I think those linebackers are better at stopping the run, running team. I do not feel that way next week. I do not need to see Dorian Williams getting fooled to death and by play action and crossing routes and counters and stuff like that. I really hope that Milano and or Bernard are back. I can live with Shaq Thompson continuing to start out there, But I need Bernard or Milano back, preferably both of them, but at least one of them for this game. But for this Carolina game, I thought this was actually the better linebacking matchup just because they play the run better. You said it'd be, I'm with that. Corners, Christian Benford, Trey White, fine. Teron Johnson, Max Harrison, and if you like that, people are just listening, that's the sound effects I make. Max Harrison makes his Bills debut. I still am almost, 5 days later, borderline shocked that it played out this way. Saturday at 4 p.m., the last thing I expected to see was Max Harrison activated from the 53-man roster. But it happened. He played 27 snaps, wasn't tested, had a nice come up on a quick catch and really nice tackle on Horn. I think he knocked him out of the game on that play, actually. But yeah, so corners to me, kind of sort of a mixed bag. What do you think?
Yeah, it didn't surprise me that he played. It surprised me that he played early and often. He was alternating series with Trey White. Like they were trying to get him to a place where they can play him more, which
How surprised were you?
Very. I when they activated him on Saturday, I'm like, okay. And then to see him in on the second series was like, I was like floored by it. Because he hasn't had that much time. But again, that's the game you want to get him in. Cause now you can at least feel comfortable playing him next week. Maybe you'll probably start with the same rotation, one series and one series. And then if, Trey's getting cooked, then you can put in Harrison for the full, second half or whatever it happens to be. So I was very surprised to see him in on the second series. It didn't surprise me that they played him. It surprised me that they played him so much and so often.
Okay, great.
Oh, that's so great. There wasn't a ton to do there with the way the pass rush. This is what we talk about with complementary football, right? Like having a great pass rush means the cornerbacks don't have to, cover as long and they can be okay. I gave them a B- just because I still think that Teron Johnson thing is a little bit scary. But I was pleasantly surprised with Harrison. So there you go.
This game done hurt him. So B-, you said, okay. I am officially.
That's a big improvement.
Yeah, sure. This game notwithstanding, going forward, I think I am now officially on the. I am very concerned that Teron Johnson has lost more than just a step. I'm on that train right now. I guess if you want to call it a train, I'm concerned about him. I'm worried about him. He's getting beat a lot. He's not tackling that great either. All the things that made him great. Look, he's 29. I feel like he's an old 29 though.
He's not even 30 yet.
Yeah, but I know, but man, he's basically been an undersized third linebacker for most of his career. He's a physical guy. The way he plays the game, he's been great, man. He's an All-Pro a couple years ago, but he's not played well this year. I would make a case that Rapp, Bernard, and Teron Johnson have been the three most underwhelming players on this team of guys that you had expectations for going into the season. I just don't think he's been good. Benford hasn't been great either, but I've lost zero confidence in Benford. He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
I think that's all fair. They have a couple of guys that could replace Teron Johnson already on their roster. So if the Bills felt the same way you did, I'm not saying that they don't, but they have options that they could put a Cam Lewis in. They could put a Jordan Hancock in that position. Well, obviously he's going to be playing safety, I think a little bit more, as we'll talk about in a second. Yep. But
don't
they have options that they could put there.
Nah. They're gonna ride with Teron, which whatever, it's fine. Hopefully he plays better. I just don't think he's played well this season. That's all I'm saying. And I think that Max Harrison taking over the starting job is inevitable. I think you'll probably see for another week or two what we saw on Sunday. And then I'd say sometime soon after that, I think he's going to be the guy who comes out and he plays and he starts. And once I think he feels comfortable, the real question is, what do you do with Trey White? If Trey White's not going to play and it's not going to be a platoon anymore, Trey White has zero special teams value. Does he become a game day inactive? We'll see. Safety. Cole Bishop, Jordan Poyer get to start. Jordan Hancock came in for Poyer plenty on certain passing situations. He played 16 snaps. I was fine with them. What do you think?
Yeah, I didn't see anything from the safety position that gave me concern. I really do think that the rotation with Poyer and Hancock is like super interesting, just like what we talked about with Max Hairston and Trey White. Like
Yeah.
you know that your aging veteran has lost a step, so like you have this. Well, in the safeties case, it's not like a rotation by drive; it's a rotation by situation, and so I thought that was really, really interesting because they know Poyer's lost a step. Having Hancock in for those athletic or more athletic passing situations, I thought was a really neat move and not something we've seen from Sean McDermott in his time in Buffalo. So again, really just interesting more than it is like seismic, but yeah.
Great.
Oh, I gave them a B as well because, like I said, I didn't see anything from them that really bothered me or anything from them that really wowed me.
I liked Cole Bishop's game. I thought he played well. I thought it was, for the most part, like mistake free. He's been making boneheaded plays every week, and I didn't see any of those in this game. Poyer's a placeholder right now, I feel like, for Jordan Hancock. I certainly hope so. Jordan Hancock saved a touchdown, by the way. Donald broke through, and Hancock, in his speed and the angle, he took a good one, and he brought him down. I kind of feel like if that's Rapp or if that's Poyer, that's 100% 6 points. So kind of an impact felt right away. And I am one step closer to what my goal is. The last 5 games or so with the regular season before the playoffs, hopefully the playoffs, never take that for granted. I want Jordan Hancock and Kyrie Elam back there starting. Speed, athleticism, juice. They'll make some mistakes, the rookies, but give me Hairston, Benford with Bishop and Hancock all day. That's what I want to see before long. And this was a good step towards it.
You said Kyrie Elam, but you mean Maxwell Hairston. I know.
Did I say Kyrie Elam?
You did, man. It was fun.
God.
Anyway,
wow.
No, I know what you mean. Like having Hancock and Hairston back there, along with Deion Walker on the defensive tackle line, like we could be seeing like a really cool changing of the guard at defense right now.
I'm gonna have to clip myself to call myself out. He's not Kyrie Elam. He better not be Kyrie Elam. All right, special teams real quick here. Missed extra point. Keon almost got murdered on a punt. They got called for holding on a kick return. Mitch Wisnowski had 3 punts, 48.7 average, 2 of them inside the 20. He was good.
Yeah.
No real, this was not a factor in the game, but just for fun, special teams.
And then, Matt Prater hit that field goal after Josh took the sack. So
True.
like kind of mitigated that.
I think it was a 43-yarder. Yeah.
He mitigated that mistake that Josh had. So that was good. My favorite special teams thing though happened after the game. The Big Dubs video when they're walking through the tunnel and the Big Dubs to the camera.
I know
and Prater walks up to it. He has no freaking clue what is happening around him. These guys he's just like looking around. He's got this like most confused look in the world on his face. Like it was so perfect. Like it's like the old man like scenario of the whole thing. It was just very, very good.
That was funny.
So I'm gonna give them like I guess a C because we did have the missed extra point. We did have some punt return shenanigans. I didn't see anything that maybe you could talk me into a B- probably.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't. If it's not a factor in the game, I don't care. I'm glad you brought up the Prater thing though, because that was funny the way he looked. That's something that like I would be doing if my son and all his friends were looking in the camera. I'd be like,
that's the right age gap too. Like he's like 41, 40.
Yeah.
Like he's got these like 24-year-olds next to him, like just with all the social media expertise. And he's just like, huh? Like,
that was funny. All right. Coaching here. All right. So I would say there's some significant stuff to come. Sean McDermott co-called plays according to him with Bobby Babbitt, and they've done that before, which is,
sure, buddy.
Your boy is taking over play calling duties, okay? And he's not throwing Bobby under the bus, and they're working together. Working together means I'm going to call the plays as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm wrong, but he was involved in the play calling. We know that, okay? So there's that. I also want to give Sean McDermott some credit here because, all right, so you activate Max, Rapp's on IR. I'm like, all right, well, he's going to play Poyer and White, and maybe if they get up, maybe you'll get you'll get a cup of coffee, you'll get a little cameo for Max and for Hancock. No, they were part of the game plan. Like Hancock was coming in on passing plays, and Max Hairston was platooning. So he got those rookies, and he kind of tossed them into the fire a little bit, and I like that. I'm happy about that. So there's that with McDermott. The defense looked great. I don't know how much credit you give Bobby Babbage anymore. Maybe we're going to start being unfair towards him going forward. I don't know. Offensively, I like that they were pitching the ball outside some. I did not like the passing game. That goes without saying. It didn't matter in this game at all. I don't know. What do you got for coaching?
Yeah, let's talk on the defense first. Like I said, Sean McDermott is a creature of habit. He likes to do the same things that he's done that have worked in the past. So seeing him platoon the cornerback position, seeing by series, seeing him platoon the safety position by game situation, I was not expecting that. All the credit to Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbage for doing that and getting both of those rookies ready to play. Hairston on a short time frame, and having them not look lost out there. I mean, they deserve a lot of credit. We've seen Sean McDermott take over play calling before and then hand it back to his defensive coordinator. If he's using this as a teaching moment, like he just gets his hands in there for a little bit, shows Bobby Babbage kind of like how to finesse this or finagle that. Like I can see it being a real positive for Babbage and the Bills going forward. I don't like. I'm not a fan of head coaches that are play callers. Just as a general rule, I think there's too much involved in the position for them to do it effectively. There's obviously exceptions to that. But I'm much more of like the CEO head coach type. So I do hope he hands it back to Babbage at some point. And I think they get good grades for the defensive adjustments that they made for this game. Especially like we talked about, we thought the running game was going to like run through the Bills defense like Swiss cheese. That did not happen. So all the credit to them. On offense, they had one pass attempt beyond 15 yards down the field. Like that cannot happen.
No.
I mean, it was bad enough it happened in this game, let alone like going forward against the Chiefs or whoever. Like it shouldn't have to be desperation time for the Bills to throw the ball 15 yards down the damn field. So I'm very worried about that. Average depth of target, 6 yards per pass attempt. Average depth of completion was 4 yards of depth on those completions. Like that can't be sustainable. So something has to give on the offensive play calling side. It's not just that they can't create separation. There's got to be some way to scheme this up too. So all of that together, I gave them a B-. I was very they won 40-3 or whatever it was. Like, I mean, it was a hugely successful game. So it's not like I'm going to be like a D for the coaching staff because they didn't throw the ball down the field. But like, it's harder for me to give them like an A or a perfect grade when that passing offense is in such rough shape. So I think I said what, B?
Yeah. B-.
Yep.
I think coming out of this game, what I feel good about going forward the most is the defensive edge position, the line, even without Ed. I think they're finding their knack. I think they're finding their groove. I think Ogunjobi and especially Hoyt are bringing juice
they need it
to them. And they're injecting some speed into the secondary, which I do think as these guys get more game experience is going to pay off later in the season. So going forward, that's what I like. What I don't like is kind of what you just said. This team, and even when you look at the passing game, a lot of it is play action on first, the short passings, things like that. When it's 2nd and 9, when it's 3rd and 8, they're a mess. When they got to throw the football, when they have to, when you know it's coming, the teams, they're a disaster. They're a borderline disaster right now. And Josh Allen's just way too good of a quarterback to ever say a passing game is a disaster. But it's a borderline disaster right now when you take away the quick bubble screens and the quick little short shit. So I agree 100%.
And the 3rd and long that they converted last game against the Falcons, remember, it was a short pass to Khalil Shakir. He got like 6 yards through the air, and then Shakir broke a tackle to get the first down on third, the only 3rd and long conversion that they had. So it's not just a one-game problem. It's a systemic problem we've seen really since, I don't know, probably the second half of the Ravens game when they had the comeback.
Yeah. From top of my head, the only play in this game, the Carolina game, where I can remember where they converted through the air on 3rd down, that was more than like 4 or 5 yards, was the Dalton Kincaid. I think that was the 15-yard, 23-yarder on 3rd down. It wasn't a great throw either, by the way. It was a little bit high, and Dalton Kincaid made a nice catch going up and getting the football. Yeah. All right, so we got a couple of minutes left here. Kansas City on Sunday. Oh, we say it every year. It's a measuring stick game. It's a measuring stick game, blah, 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 blah. It is. I still don't know, Matt, what this team is right now. I really truly don't. Carolina was 4-3. They had won 3 in a row, but they didn't beat nobody. I mean, they did beat Atlanta 30-0, no, but Atlanta just got the shit kicked out of them. I mean, Kirk Cousins was the quarterback, but they got the hell beat out of them by Miami. So, and I know it's a week-to-week league. How is this offense going to perform against a good football team? How is this defense going to perform against a really good football team? We have not seen that since week 1. I would say week 1. You got to go all the way back to Baltimore in week 1, where the Bills played a team that is just straight up good. And I know the Ravens record right now. You know what? That week 1 team was a very good addition of the Baltimore Ravens, a 41-40 game. Ever since then, New England too, actually. I could take that back. New England we could officially call a good team as well. And the Bills, quite frankly, did not play that well in that football game. They didn't play terrible, but they didn't play that well. This, for the first time, at least in a few weeks, I just keep going back to measuring stick game. And it's also important. Yeah, the Bills have won 4 straight seasons during the regular season, but they can't beat them in the playoffs. So people are almost saying, oh, I kind of hope they lose this week so you can beat them in January. Well, guess what? If you lose, here's my point. Matt, if you lose this week, you might not be playing in Orchard Park at all in January because you're in trouble. Forget the number 1 seed. You're in big trouble with the AFC East if you don't win this game. Conversely, Kansas City is in a fight right now with Denver and the Chargers. They got already 3 losses. This would be their 4th loss. They're in a lot of trouble. So the loser of this game is going to have a battle to win their division and even get 1 playoff game right now. You know what I'm saying? This is a big game for that reason. You agree?
Oh, absolutely. And then the Chiefs are on their bye next week, and then they come back and they do at the Broncos. They host the Colts. Like, they still have another game against the Texans, who played really well this week.
Sure.
Chargers, another game against the Broncos to come. Like, the Chiefs and the Bills have a really tough schedule down the stretch, whereas the Patriots and the Chargers don't. And so it's a real fight for both of these 2 teams to win their divisions for the umpteenth consecutive year.
Yeah, I'm looking right now as you're talking. I'm looking at New England's schedule. So right now, the Patriots, who beat the Bills, of course, already, they have a half-game lead because they have not had their bye week yet. So they're up a half a game. So if the Bills lose this game, now they're a game and a half back. And you look at their next 5 games, the Patriots, okay? They're starting this week. They're at home against Atlanta. They're at Tampa. That's a tough game. They're at home against the Jets. They're at a Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals team, and they're at home against the New York Giants. It's very worst case, they're going 3-2, and it's very likable that they go 4-1. So again, where are you catching them? Because now you got the bye week, and then you got Buffalo at home, and then you go to at Baltimore, which I think Baltimore is going to be in a playoff race at that point of the season. They're going to have something to play for. Okay, I do believe that firmly. But then they got the Jets. They're at the Jets in Miami the last 2 games. But that Buffalo, Baltimore, at Tampa, those are the only 3 games on paper that look tough right now for the Patriots. This could be a team that I don't think they lose more than 5 games. I think they're going to be 12-5, maybe at worst. So if you're the Bills, you don't want to pick up this 3rd loss against the Chiefs already. You almost would have to win out if you lose this game. If you want to win the AFC East, I almost feel like.
And that's going to be tough too, because the Bills' schedule isn't any easier. So, yeah, it's tough. The Chiefs present like a unique challenge because like they're good on both sides of the ball right now. They've scored 28 points in 5 straight games, 28 points or more in 5 straight games. And it would have been more if Mahomes hadn't thrown a pick 6 on the goal line against the Jaguars, and they needed any more points against the Commanders on Monday night. So like this Chiefs offense is averaging like 30 points a game for fun right now. And it's against good defenses. It's against mediocre defenses. Like they're just doing it against everybody right now. So the Bills are going to have to buckle down on defense, and they're going to have to score because like, I mean, the Jaguars scored 31 on them, but one of them was the pick 6, like we talked about. So no other team has put up more than 27 points on them. And that was, or 27 offensive points on them. And that was in the season opener with the Chargers. So this is a tall task. I know like sometimes like we talk about first impressions, right? And the Chiefs stumbled out of the gate. They were, 0-2, 2-3. And so we developed this impression that they're a struggling team. They are not struggling in these last 5 games. They are playing very, very good football right now. And it's kind of the opposite with the Bills. We expected them to be good. They were good out of the gate, except for maybe a couple things against the Ravens that we want back. But they've stumbled recently. And so maybe we think the Bills are good and the Chiefs are bad, even though in the last 5 games, I would think it's the opposite.
Doesn't it feel like kind of a flip-flop of the last few years where usually during the regular season, it's the Bills who really feel like they're hitting on all cylinders, where the Chiefs are kind of rumbling and bumbling and stumbling, although the Bills are, 5-2, the Chiefs, I mean, the record is there, but they win so many games ugly or just beating shitty teams, and meanwhile, it's been the Bills, like I said, who've been playing well. I agree with you. Kansas City that's the difference between the last few years is Kansas City's coming into Orchard Park this week playing some pretty damn good football. Let me ask you this quickly. Do you feel like Sean McDermott's decision against Carolina with Hancock and Max getting as much work as they did, speed, has anything to do with who they're playing this week, Kansas City, when you look at those receivers with Worthy and Brown, and of course, Rashee Rice, the speed that Kansas City has. So, he wanted to get those guys, make sure he got them work out there so that they're a little more prepared to play the Chiefs, because I think that's going to be a big part of the matchup. I don't need to see Trey White out there in Jordan Poyer a lot, because they're going to get beat. I'm going to tell you that right now. They're going to get beat against a great quarterback and fast receivers.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. I think they would have been out there in that Panthers game regardless, just because of the first part of the season and the way that went, and what we've seen, especially from the safety position with Hamlin and Rapp, on the sideline. So I think that those 2 young players would have been out there regardless, but I certainly think it should be heartening for the Bills and Bills fans that those 2 young players played well, because they might get thrown in the deep end this week.
Yeah. And I'm good with that, man. I truly am. I'll say this too as the last thing. Concerns me most. So Joe Brady, to me, I've called it arrogance, like some of his pressers, okay? And he does not sound like, and maybe he's trying to fool us, I don't know. He does not sound like he is the least bit concerned whatsoever about the Bills passing game at all. And I'm looking at this matchup and I see 2 things. Number 1, the Chiefs blitz a lot. I think they're the 4th most blitzing team right now in the league, and they're going to blitz against the Bills.
We saw what happened against the Falcons. That's how the Falcons generated tons of pressure.
Just 100%.
That's the playbook right there.
100%. So they're going to blitz, and they're going to make the Bills have blitz beating plays. I don't know. I haven't seen much of that. And then the other thing is, I mean, they watch the games. They know how good James Cook is. Don't you think they're going to be selling out to stop James Cook and say, you know what, beat me in the passing game if you can. I'm going to bring guys up. Can you get, I'm going to say Josh Palmer. Dude ain't going to play. Samuel, Keon, are these guys going to get behind me? Are they going to make plays? I don't know, man. It's, I don't love this matchup. I don't. I'm glad it's in Orchard Park. That matters. The enthusiasm, the energy, that matters. But I don't love this matchup. I just don't, man. The last thing I'll say, too, you can tell it's Bills KC week because I'm starting to see a lot of fighting on Twitter. O.J. Simpson, Rashee Rice, beyond football, all that shit has already started. I will say this. I think there's a respect factor between these teams. The players, not the fans, but the players is through the roof. I don't know if you're a boxing fan, but it's like Mickey Ward and Gotti, where they just killed each other in the ring, but they loved each other kind of like outside of the ring. There's a big respect factor between these players. It's the fan bases that are going at it. Looking now.
Yeah, and I don't think that, I mean, I
thought I saw a trade. There's not a trade. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't think Chiefs fans are I don't know. I've argued with plenty of fan bases that are completely stupid and irrational. I don't think Chiefs fans are completely stupid and irrational.
No.
And they have a lot of legs to stand on in this particular debate. And so it's just I don't necessarily need to poke the bear the way I poke it with Ravens fans when they ain't done shit. So let's have that conversation too.
I want to I was looking while you were talking too, because that's why I kind of got froze for a second. Payton's Places on ESPN Plus premieres this Sunday. And I know Del Reed, our guy Del Reed, was featured on there with Peyton Manning. So that'll be airing on Sunday. All right, man, let's put a wrap on this. By the way, people are going to wake up and listen to this. Let me be the first to wish you happy James Cook AFC Offensive Player of the Week for the second time this season. He's win. I'm like, there's nobody in the AFC who had the kind of game he did. So
Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns, right?
Yeah, he had 153 yards. Blah, blah, blah. Who did they play? Who did they play? The Titans?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever.
It's a good day from Jonathan Taylor. It's not a James Cook blowing the top off day. So
exactly. And he didn't play in the fourth quarter. That's the wild thing. I kind of regret. I wish that game would have been more competitive. I would have loved to have seen if he would have had an opportunity to rip one more off.
He was in the game longer than I thought he was going to be. And then Tim Graham talked to him after the game. He's like, I had to beat Delvin. He knew how many yards he needed to beat Delvin Cook's career best.
Yeah.
And so he was in why are they handing off to James Cook here? And that's why. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny.
All right, guys, make sure you follow Matt on Twitter X and also Blue Sky at Mavericks Warren. Check out SB Nation. And of course, more specifically, make sure you go and check out Buffalo Rumblings. Appreciate you as always, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, guys, I'll be back. A brand new show coming right back at you tomorrow. Talk to you.